Welcome to Forthright. I'm Sue Lonnie Madsen, reading last week's column about a proposed new regional authority to deal with homelessness issues. To set the context for this column, I am a skeptic when it comes to bigger government being the answer to anything. I missed the Spokane Unite kickoff meeting and had only one small blurb in the Spokesman Review that I read. And then I received a call from Gavin Cooley asking if he and Teresa Sanders could sit down and explain their work to me as a possible column because they hoped I might write with more detail. Presumably, they hoped I'd write positively, and I promised myself to keep an open mind. I hadn't realized who was on the team behind the plan. None of them are social services experts. I worked with Teresa Sanders when she was a hospital district commissioner, and I was the architect advising her, and then we served together on the Empire Health Foundation board, but that's not her profession is not in healthcare. I know her to be data-driven, not shy about speaking up and asking uncomfortable but unnecessary questions, and so I was intrigued. Teresa and Rick Romero weren't available the day I was in Spokane, so I met with Gavin Cooley, and I've known Gavin off and on, run into him in city things in my career. I didn't know Rick Romero. Gavin told me a little bit about him as the fellow who was put in charge of the utilities division when Mayor Condon came in, and he wasn't a utilities guy, but he did a whole lot of stuff to organize it, and the part I remember is making sure that we didn't dig the streets up twice. So these are people who really think about the process and the management of public funds. So I did indeed decide to write a column about it, and here it is, as published Thursday, August 3rd, 2023 in the Spokesman Review. New regional authority could improve response to homelessness. Homelessness is not a single problem to be solved. It's a complex reality to be managed. And better management is the goal of the proposed Spokane Regional Authority for Homelessness, Housing, Health, and Safety. Bylaws and interlocal agreements have been drafted, led by a team of former City of Spokane management staff that immersed itself for the past year in the homelessness response system in Spokane County. Gavin Cooley served 18 years as Chief Financial Officer for the City of Spokane under 6 mayors. When Cooley visited Houston as part of hosting the video series Housing and Help, housingandhelp.org, he was inspired to bring the model back to Spokane. He recruited 2 former colleagues, Teresa Sanders and Rick Romero, to join him on the project. The problem isn't a lack of money, it's a lack of collaboration, Cooley said in a recent conversation over coffee in downtown Spokane. Quasi-municipal organizations operate with municipal-like powers, but focused on a limited purpose. The Spokane Transit Authority and the Spokane Public Facilities District are quasi-municipal entities crossing multiple boundaries to provide services. Cities are organizationally not designed to do social services, Cooley said. The complex funding sources and tracking requirements for providing services to homeless individuals have caused problems for the City of Spokane and surfaced in a recent Department of Commerce audit. Commerce was stretched way beyond its traditional focus on business climate by the Governor's Rights of Way initiative, which sought to find housing for people living on the state right-of-ways. Homelessness response is not the primary focus of either the City or the Commerce Department. The proposed Spokane Regional Authority for Homelessness, Housing, Health, and Safety could address those problems. Control and accountability are the core issues for any regional authority. Politicians legitimately ask questions before ceding power. Providers of services see the opportunity for better outcomes for their clients dealing with chaotic lives and unique needs. And taxpayers want wise spending and visible results. If Houston is the exemplary model, the King County Regional Homeless Authority is the cautionary tale. Board members are selected for lived experience on the streets. A video of a recent shouting match between board members went viral, wherein a sex offender nominated to the board was vigorously defended by a board co-chair at the expense of another board member who claimed to have been a victim. Avoiding Seattle's dysfunction is on Cooley's mind. Progressive voices in Spokane have been pushing for a similarly narrow lived experience requirement. The proposed board structure does have one designated position for someone who has lived homeless, but all experiences need to be heard. There is the experience of living downtown and stepping over feces on your doorstep, or what it's like to take risks on tenants who may not be ready for permanent housing, or the experience of confronting a homeless man with a machete at your cash register, or how the loss of foot traffic affects your business, or the agonizing search for a mentally ill loved one in the shelters. The proposed board structure should reflect the lived experiences of the entire community. Then there's the question of accountability for outcomes for an organization whose reasons for existence depends on the size of the problem. We know it's not going to be solved, but we do need a measure of effectiveness. Cooley agreed there needs to be ongoing monitoring because the status quo never reforms itself. The usual metric is the point-in-time count. It's not as objective as it sounds. The count is never conducted under the same conditions of weather or with the same volunteer idiosyncrasies. I volunteered in January and was assigned to a group sent to survey Highbridge Park in the snow. I was the only one wearing boots and who could read a map, or we would never have left the parking lot. It's not an ideal year-to-year metric, but it can provide insights into trends over a longer time. There needs to be a broad range of metrics, like tracking police calls for service, anecdotal feedback from frontline workers, and insurance claims for property damage. And most critical, follow up with the once homeless to see if the change in their quality of life has been sustainable. The ultimate accountability would be a sunset clause requiring renewal of the interlocal agreement by a new set of elected officials in 10 years, with a required third-party review, or timed to coordinate with the state auditor's performance audit. Cooley and his colleagues have been working with current elected officials for over a year and are putting resolutions together and seeking actions by cities and the county by October 1st. It's a tough goal in a municipal election year. And, quote, "It's not going to get better waiting for the new electeds to get up to speed," Cooley said. There was quite a bit of reader feedback directly to me, and I'll share it with you now. From Lunel, I'm hearing lots of opinions about this project. Appreciate your insight and highlighting the importance of including the voice of lived experience and the complexity of categories of lived experience. And as usual, if it were easy, it would have been done by now. Susie thanked me as a thoughtful opinion piece and said I attend almost all of the Coalition on Homelessness meetings. What they're attempting is stunning. Gavin has basically given a year and a half of his life, as well as Teresa and Rick. And yeah, Gavin told me I think he had over 2,000 hours into it. From Janice, thank you for the informative article. It does appear that the reality is management of this situation. May wise leadership prevail. Your article was encouraging. And Janice, I'm glad it was encouraging for you. From Barry, I appreciate your piece today on the homelessness initiative. My read is that we'll eventually pass with Spokane City Council and the mayor. My concern is getting 3 votes needed to start the process in the county commission. I plan to send a copy of your piece to the 5 of them. Do you have any other suggestions on reaching the commissioners? So what I advised Barry was about the Spokane County Commissioners. They just need to hear from their constituents. With the new system of election by district only and no requirement for election of county commissioners with county-wide support, that means hearing from folks who live in their specific districts, and if you contact them, make a point of saying so that you're in their district. From Jim, first, I enjoyed your August 3rd article on the Regional Homeless Authority and agreed with your thoughts. I would really like to hear your thoughts regarding the Republican Party's unflinchingly defense of Trump. The party seems not to contest the charges, but that the process is unfair, and if the charges are true, this will be the most serious challenge to our democracy in our lifetime. So, Jim, I appreciate that we probably disagree on a number of things. Always appreciate positive feedback from readers, but about Mr. Trump, I am planning to wade into the presidential nomination options on August 17th, the week before the August 23rd debate, so you'll just have to keep reading. And he replied later that he always reads the paper, so thank you. And about this, the idea of a regional authority, again, I am a skeptic about just adding more layers of government. However, I've served as an architect for several projects with the Spokane Public Facilities District, and this is a parallel to that operation. Gavin and I discussed how the old Coliseum fell apart, and it was from deferred maintenance and didn't have the same activities coming in. It was just way down the list of departments seeking money and attention from the Spokane City Council. And the Facilities District has made a big difference in the quality of entertainment and athletic facilities in Spokane County. I think primarily because their first manager, really, Kevin Twig did an excellent job. The Spokane Transit Authority is the other regional authority with a special purpose. It's been around a lot longer. There's some questions about whether how money is being spent and what the direction is, and so both of those are cautionary tales of another kind. A regional authority might expand, might turn out to not be having the results people want. There needs to be a better way for elected officials to hold an appointed board accountable, and that's why I suggested adding a sunset clause requiring meaningful review and renewal of the authority, or letting it lapse if it's not meeting expectations. And Gavin was open to that idea, so we'll see if it gets incorporated in the final documents that are being prepared. And really, monitoring and accountability are key. This isn't an alien concept to those service providers who also require accountability from those they serve, the so-called high barrier shelters in the systems that also have more meaningful long-term results. This week there is a meeting scheduled, led by several low barrier, no barrier service providers who insist there needs to be more input, who see involvement by business leaders in putting this plan for better management together as a sign of a conspiracy, and who want more time and more study. I actually think they just want more control. But this is about management, and this plan does need their input into how to monitor for signs that their worst fears are coming true. If we see signs of their worst fears, we want to correct things. This plan needs input from everyone on how to hold the new authority accountable for sustainable results, not just getting somebody out of a camp for a week, but actually helping them turn their life around. And this plan doesn't need to be dragged through another year of discussion and delay. While some candidates for office are complaining that nobody's done anything in the last 2 years, something has been done and it deserves a chance. One of the lessons from the Houston video that was part of the series that Gavin hosted is that we know it's not going to be all right. We know there's going to be problems. We need to try something. We need to monitor. We need to be ready to adjust. We need to admit when something's not going wrong. And that's where having an authority that's focused on better management and on monitoring and is willing to adjust and change is really going to be key to success. So read the plan if you want. Draw your own conclusions. Feel free to adopt mine. Whatever you do, get involved. Let your city or town council members, county commissioners know what you think. And as always, resources for your own research will be on the Substack page, where you can subscribe with or without a pledge to receive notification of new content. There's no paywall until at least 2024. I'm considering putting up a paywall for some special publications as we get into the big election cycle of 2024, and I'm considering a discount for 2023 subscribers. But thanks for listening tonight.